Be your weird, crazy ass self. All day, messy, emotional. Hello, gorgeous. How are you doing
Hey
today?
babes, I'm good. How are
Staying on the
you?
coast, just coming out of the
Yeah,
rain.
yeah. Honestly, I was talking about your background, and I was like, this looks like anyone that hasn't been to Yorkshire in England. That
That's
is
it.
it behind Z. There it is, great old Yorkshire town. I don't know if that is actually Yorkshire, but it looks a lot like Yorkshire.
It does.
Maybe that might be Scotland. Maybe I don't know, but it's very similar. We have. Do you know what? I've had a newfound appreciation for England because I really didn't like it and I spent a lot of time trying to escape it. And I do still not like the weather. Now we're leaving summer, I'm getting that itch to get out of here again because I'm like, get me in the sun. I don't get enough sun here. But
Gotcha.
other than that, I love Yorkshire. Like, I love being from Yorkshire. I love Yorkshire people. I love the greenery. I love the way that everything is just, I just think there's such a flow to it. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't really like cities. I'm not a big city girl and very rarely go there. When I do, I get quite overwhelmed. But in the nature of Yorkshire, there is a woods every 5 minutes, a forest. There is rivers everywhere, reservoirs, waterfalls. The ocean's like an hour, 2 hour drive, but we don't really do long drives unless you're going out for the day. But the local, you have everything within that vicinity, of 30, 40 minutes accessible to you. And when I used to go wild swimming all the time, I was always finding new spots like reservoirs and rivers and waterfalls, little places to swim. And
Love
you
it.
just get to see the most beautiful part of Yorkshire. And that background really just reminded me of my gratitude for Yorkshire because I spent a long time running from it. And now I think I've found such a comfort. I still want to travel, I still want to
Yeah.
explore, and I maybe still want to move out of the country, but I just have a lot more gratitude and love for it than I ever did before. So that's
That's
just what I
good.
thought.
That's
Yeah.
that's curious that you're saying that. And I've been to Yorkshire a few times, but coming back from my home, which is Utah, I tried to escape it every
Yes.
so many times, and I ended up back here, and I was like, okay. But I have to again be like, I'm not escaping it anymore. I feel really like it's like my home base, and I'll come
Yeah.
back to it because I have the mountains, I have the rivers, I have the lakes. I don't have an ocean. That's one thing, so I'll travel for that.
Yeah. Me too.
And I'm not saying that I wouldn't move because I would. It's just I feel like a deeper layer of self-acceptance, like in
Yeah.
this space.
Yeah. And I think that's where it comes from, like an acceptance in self, an acceptance that this is my home. And like being around the world, especially in America, I got to appreciate like the culture is completely different. Like the people are so different. My best friend, as you guys know, I've mentioned before, she's moved from Yorkshire to Florida. And
Yep.
we talk a lot about, how the world is just a different world there and how sometimes she feels a bit like an alien because there is so many things that you're so used to and the
Yep.
people and the norms and like we are in a York, like we have a Yorkshire nod and Yorkshire little sayings and words and like you just don't realize that that's a Yorkshire thing. Like you don't realize that
Yep.
that's just who you are, and then you leave that place and then little familiar things have gone and yes
Yep.
it creates expansion and growth, but I think there is a certain comfort with having them people and that familiar things, that them little like home comforts, like you say, and having that home base. I think it is very grounding.
I think so too. Yeah, I've come to find for myself too. It's just, it's where I grew up. It's where my family's from. So
Mm-hmm.
there's still some roots in with that. I definitely wanted to escape it because a lot of my trauma and abuse he came in around Utah, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm never coming back. And then I worked through that aspect of it, and I'm like, I feel very much so like at home in myself, and also that like I could go if I wanted to, not
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe it is that choice. And like you say, I definitely feel like at the moment I've outgrown the area that I grew up in. And so like if I drive past my old school or the place I used to work or the place I spent time as a kid, I feel like I'm not meant to be in that area anymore. I feel like that is an old chapter. So I definitely get this itch to move out of like this close area, but I think I'll always want a base within Yorkshire, within that green countryside, that Yorkshire air. I think that I've decided that that is a base, like a base place for me in my heart. It's definitely a, you know, I used to land back in England and oh my God, why am I back here? Now I get back on a drive through the Yorkshire Hills and I'm just like, yeah, this is home. And I love that in some way, but also I don't not feel at home when I'm traveling. I don't not feel at home when I'm around the world. It's just a sense of familiarity when I come home to this place.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. I moved way north from my family about 4 months ago and to the side that I've never been before. I've done that quite a bit in
Oh,
Utah, but it's
yeah.
been exciting. It's been an exciting shift. I live like really adjacent to a little island that's surrounded by the Great Salt Lake.
Nice.
So keeps
Nice.
energies clear real fast, and I don't have to deal
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. No, I think that's why I always end up near rivers because the rivers are always flowing it through, like you say. I like the moving water, the clearing of energy. It's needed, especially in these times. There is weird energies. I don't think it's like as heavy as it was. Like February, March, April, I think was dense. And then
Yeah.
May, June started to feel lighter and July again. But it feels like it's kind of like tornado season in the energy worlds.
Yep.
Like there is little, but in the same respect, I feel it's so much more grounded. So it's almost like we have so much more preparation, more of a solid base to actually work through this tornado place. So it's not like it's uprooting everything we know and destroying everything. It's more like, okay, it rocked the vase over a little bit. Let's pick it up and clean up the mess. But it's not as catastrophic as it used to be, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with that. It is weird. I will say like the weird, crazy weird.
Yeah. Yeah, odd.
Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah.
not sure about that, but
Mm-hmm.
type of vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is, actually, because there's been a lot of little random spirit experiences that I've had as well that have been like, I don't quite know what that was or why that came, and like little odd bits and
Yep, yep.
little random frequencies, like you say, not necessarily hugely malicious,
Nope.
but not necessarily like, oh yeah, that's full of love and light. Like I was very unsure about a couple of things, like what is going on here, and there's been a lot of truth surfacing.
Yep.
There's been like almost like a pause period for everybody to like gather, I feel, to gather themselves, to gather the team, to gather their own mind, their own visions.
Yep.
I've had a lot of visions and ideas coming in about how I want to be translated in this human, like how I want to translate all the creative expressions that I do have. How am I going to get that out? Because that's something that frustrates me. And so I've had a lot of ideas and outlets about that. So it's like there's so much going on all at one time that it can feel overwhelming, but surprisingly grounded at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is. I
Mm.
would have to say, at least for my nervous system, in the past few weeks, right now I'm in a definite pause. I'm like,
Mm.
I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna not do anything. I got some of my stuff out there and that like just out there. I'm not gonna do anything with that right now. But at least it's out there. And
Yeah, yeah.
I've been really observing me staying and standing in my truth solidly, and also just watching like how other things are moving their way through with a curiosity and understanding
Hmm.
like what's going to work for me and what's not going to work for me. What
Yeah.
energies are going to flow through that like don't feel co-aligned with me? What is my truth? What feels fake? What feels fake like in me too? Like I'll own my own and what I have where I have been with that, and the faces that I've had where I'm like, oh yeah, that was some sort of a protector, and I can see how I interacted with that. Don't have it anymore, so that's slightly uncomfortable.
Okay. That's been awkward.
Yeah, so I like in that awkward phase of like I don't have those anymore, and this it's not I wouldn't say in between. It feels grounded, like you said,
Hmm.
but it feels like, hey, I'm gonna take a breath here. All of these phases like that I thought were gonna be the case or not, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's a big breakdown in the body too, where it's like I'm wildly like feeling a lot of stuff. I'm uncomfortable. My nervous system is adjusting to it. Um, And also too knowing that like some of the visions that I did have moving through the space over the past like 5 years or so are not going to be moving that way.
Yeah. I suppose how's that making you feel? How are you dealing with that emotionally? How are you working with that?
I want to say I've moved to a lot of different mediums of art and
Mm.
not pushing, forcing anything, making sure that I'm rested, being okay with the awkwardness and the weirdness and holding steady in it, and also really speaking my truth.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like you're shifting out of any like old people pleasing or like, adjusting to meet other people energies
Totally.
that have been going on? I feel like I'm shedding them. So I get that from you right now. Yeah,
Yep. Yep,
that
definitely.
makes sense. I totally feel that. And it takes a lot though. Like I'm kind of doing it, but I don't think I'm there like fully embodying it in all the time. And I feel like that's what you're standing in right now. And that's really strong. It's really powerful. And it's really it sometimes it for me it takes a lot of energy because I feel like I have to kind of be defensive and protected, and then it's also learning that that's not always the case. Like you can do that without having to be overly because that's also a program, right? You
Totally.
know?
Totally.
Mm.
Yeah, I would say for me is when I feel that and see that popping up, I don't do anything. I don't go into action. I don't like, I let my body and my nervous system sit with it for a period of time. And then I don't
Mm.
want to interact with it or react to it in ways that I have, where it can now be in a place of empowerment versus like, I'm going to have to say this. I'm going to have to like protect myself in case, the after effect is like really intense. Usually, like at this point now, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it a day, and then I'm gonna interact with it, and then I'm gonna speak my truth, and then my nervous system feels calm about it.
No, I totally agree. I forgot to put my laptop on charge like a silly sausage. But the nervous system is actually key. And I think it's not recognized enough. And it's not acknowledged enough on the human level. And I don't think I acknowledged it. Obviously, you guys and me and Z have worked together on retreat, and I've done another one and worked with Mark on one. But the one I did in 2023 was on the mind, body, soul.
Mhm.
And I fully value the work I did there, would 100% like repeat that process. But the one thing I would add on incredibly is the learnings I've gained on the nervous system
Right.
and how it is
Yep.
almost like
Yep.
separate to the mind, body, soul. Like it is
Right.
separate to the body.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
separate to the muscle memory. It's separate to those triggers. Like it's completely got its own system and its
Totally.
own frequencies, its own
Yep.
responses, its own
Yep.
energy and chat programs that are patterned into that. And so when I'm now doing the healing work on myself or connecting with others in sessions, it's always about the mind, body, soul, and the nervous system.
Nervous system.
Like it
Yep.
has to be like right in there.
Yep. Yep. That's
Like you can work on the mind body soul level and that will do incredible work. That stopped me being in hospital,
yep.
being on all the medication, having them experiences that did work to a certain extent, but I was still experiencing a lot of anxiety and a lot of non-groundedness within self, and that was because my nervous system was in fight or flight most of the time and I wasn't in recognition of how, why, where, what, when, all the different things that you learn when you start to unravel regulating your nervous system intentionally
Yep.
and continuously doing that to reprogram the nervous system for growth, and it takes a
Totally.
lot.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'd say it really takes a lot. And you and I have been working this for a hot second, and that's what I did. My platform is really about the game changer, and the key to that for me was the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
I created
It is like a little
programming.
key.
It is the
Yeah.
key, like yeah, yeah, like then that's how I like kind of put it out there. Is like, no, this is the key that I feel like I bypassed in all of this. Like I did
Yeah.
all the rest of the work, and
Mm.
then shifted back into the nervous system, and I have like all of the like biological function. I did all the schooling around that, the medical stuff. So I have that portion of it, which doesn't really like it gives you maybe a tiny bit of what it actually is and fully experiencing it, and then you have your soul perspective, and then you have all
Mm-hmm.
these other dimensional pieces that come in with that. And so it's yeah, for me it was like no, that's the game changer is the nervous system. That
It
little
really is.
center and coming back to that piece because if it's not regulated or it's not shifted into a space where it realizes obviously there's still some patterning and stuff stuck in there, nothing else moves. You're like stuck
No.
for a good hot period of time.
Yeah, and let's talk about that because that is a form of spiritual bypassing. Like, listen, me and you work in the realms of fucking realms, you know, like
Yeah.
we go to the world
Going for it.
fucking
Yep.
zone and
Yep.
back,
Yep.
and we're all down for that. We're all down for the ETs and the collectives and the past lives and the souls and the dimensions and the contracts and anything you want to throw at us. We're there digging down with you. However, there becomes a certain time that there is only so much of that work that you can do in them realms
Yep.
because you're living as a human. You're
Right.
living in your human body that has all this shit going on. And that's why, again, the mind, body, soul with the nervous system. But in the same respect, I do see it a lot in the spiritual world where things that are being brought up on a human level are being diminished by, or, you know, I'm not saying a lot of things aren't attached. When I see, for example, someone's got continuous knee problems, right?
Yep.
I think that that's a manifestation of multiple things. So physically, they might have had too many toxins. They might have too much things that manifest into the knee
Totally.
of like swelling, high sodium, whatever. And then on a spiritual level, they might be stuck. So they might not be emotionally moving forward. They might be not looking at things where they're like stuck in their own shit. Da, da, da. Spiritually, they might have had like a past life where they had their leg cut off and they've got a lot of trauma from that lifetime. Like, totally agree. But then in the same respect, all them things are like continuing on and on and on. And if you're only going, oh, well, this past life happened and that's why I've got the knee problem,
Yep.
and then doing nothing else, I don't personally think that that's just going to clear it off and get rid of it because you haven't addressed the roots.
Right.
You haven't addressed the emotional trauma that you're blocking out. You haven't addressed the toxins that you're putting in your body or the detoxification that you need to do. You haven't addressed the way your body's communicating with you and how your nervous system might be telling you that you're in fight or flight and burnout. And this is a repeating pattern that keeps happening and manifesting in one area because your body's communicating with you. And so that's what we mean when we say healing is multifaceted and multi-layered. We can't just go, there's your past life clearing of that and now it's gone. That's just one layer. That's just one layer to the equation. Like we have to then work through the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, the nervous system, and then like mush that into one thing for you to then be able to digest and process into a human body. But you have to be at the right frequency level to be able to receive that on your own self. And you have to be wanting to do it. But we can't spiritually bypass by just going, or it's this spiritual thing that happened to you in this life, or it's a parallel life, or it's a contract you need to clear. Them things are very valid, but they're not the only thing that you need to look at. They're just one layer to the layer of healing. Because, you know, after 10 years of healing my own stomach, if it had been as simple as that, I think it had just been over after a few days of experiencing it, you know.
Great.
But, you know, it took me a whole decade of working through the layers of emotional trauma, fight or flight, panic, anxiety in the solar plexus, storing emotion in the solar plexus, having all that build up and continuous build up of that with reprogramming with the continuous anxiety and panic attacks that I was having all the time, never resting, never detoxing, bad food, all these things that were all contributing to my stomach being in such a bad state. And now I don't experience that stomach problem and I haven't been on medication for like 5-7 years, whatever, I don't know. And I was told I would be on it for the rest of my life. So it really is making a choice on whether you want to continue living that way. And it's not going to happen overnight, but if you go work through the roots and the layers, you will find freedom along the way.
Totally, totally. And if you are committed to continuing to go to grow with it, I'm gonna say like I'm not done yet. Like, and you and I will both say that. Like, I'm still working
Yeah.
on
Oh, it's
many
still a thing.
levels right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, 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 yeah. Always.
And there's always something that pops up per second moment, and it is this, and I call it the dance. It's like a symphony. Okay, well, obviously something's, up. I'm gonna sit with my body first. What could it be? Could it have been the food? Could it have been and I go through, this whole
Yeah.
paradigm. And then really I go back to the nervous system to integrate and see what's moving through that space. So it's a very visceral, all over the place, like, okay, that wasn't it. Here's the next step in years. I mean, for my lifetime, I will commit
Yeah.
for my lifetime.
Mhm. But that's the point in being human, right? Like, it really frustrates me when I see this fakeness on TikTok. I always see it a lot on TikTok. That's why I use that example. I do like TikTok. It just seems to be full of a lot of fake spiritual stuff.
Yep.
And I see it and I'm like, bro, you're claiming to be Buddha. Like, you're claiming that you live this I don't have any health issues. I don't have any mental health. I don't have any money issues. My relationship's perfect. I'm the best mum ever. I'm sorry, I'm calling bullshit, man. I don't think that's true. Like, I'm sorry. Let's just hold the phone. No, like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being cynical. But in my opinion, that's not human. That's not what we came here to do. Like, we are always evolving and growing and expanding and learning. That is the point. We are learning about self, about others, about being human, about emotion. And I remember being 16, 17, and I was not, I say weird, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I was just like always inquisitive. I was a bit of a like chav or whatever the word is, a bit of a, thought I was quite big and hard, had a big attitude, but I was just like a little mouse that was a bit scared, really. But however, I was all into like learning everything. Why is this? Why is that? Why is this like that? Why is and I remember thinking, like, why would you choose to come and be a human? Like, what would be the point? Why would you choose to be a human? I remember we had the choice in, I think it was like in year 10, so you would have been about 15, 16. And we had the choice, what do you want to study? And I chose ethics and philosophy and child development, law and criminology. And I was studying ethics and philosophy. And this was all about like creation theory and all the theories of evolution and all the different theories and things. And I remember thinking, like, why would anyone choose to come to this experience, like voluntarily, And then I sat about it, and the first thing that came to me was the emotion. Yeah. And I was like, obviously, I'm like 15, 16 at this point, sat there at my desk, twiddling my pencil, thinking about this concept of life. And I was like, what do you mean emotion? And I was talking to this voice in my head, which obviously my higher self just had no idea. And the whole point of it that I got was every other species, every other being on this dimensional plane, on this galaxy, if you will, solar system, whatever you want to say. I don't know the human words for it. I'm not really sciencey, but you get me. Has connection. None of them have this disconnect that we experience as a human. Now, we experience it as a really bad thing. Don't get me wrong, it is on a lot of ways. But it leaves us with this deep sense of, don't want to say fear because that's definitely not the right word, but like you make every day count and you're afraid of losing things and you value things deeply and you value the experience and that time with that person in that moment because you know that that's just not going to manifest itself tomorrow. And you don't have the knowing that everything you want could be created at your fingertips and that everything is just a fabrication of your own mind and creation of vibrational planes and colors and frequency. And you don't have that knowing. So you are so immersed in that experience and you are so connected to that experience, and that no other being ever experiences that, because you can't experience that whilst being so connected to source knowing, because it's too human. And I remember sitting there like, okay, I didn't know how to process it then, but years and years down the line, I totally understood it. It was like these emotions that we feel when, again, I always go back to the pregnancy, because when you actually grow your life in your body and birth life, that's so wildly, insanely, spiritually, but human at the same time. Yeah. And it's like to go through that as a human with all the ifs and the unknowns and the worlds, and it is a wild thing, even though we're way more connected now than we ever was before. Yeah. It's still this, you're still living in the human, you're still in this vulnerable place of learning and not fully connected and not fully knowing everything and all the endless possibilities, and you have to surrender to it. And it's that surrendering piece, like we were talking about last week, that makes it so special, because you're not in control and you're just riding that wave, Yep.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest aspect to it, is like you're not in control.
At all. And I think my spirit's like, every time, why do we sign up to do this again? Like, why are we giving away all this control? But that's one of my biggest soul lessons, is to do that. And I think that's why human is a great lesson for me, because I have to surrender to it, and it teaches me a lot doing that. And I really resist that. So I'd like to be as prepared and aware of everything and everyone and every energy around me to prepare myself for the situation that might or might not happen. And so, not being able to do that as much, or being asked not to in this lifetime, is challenging. But again, part of my biggest lessons,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I appreciate that perspective. It's when I was little, I had a lot of visions and kind of understanding. And I also was like very much so like, why are humans doing this?
Yeah. What is
Like I
going
feel
on?
like they're making it so hard for themselves, and I really don't think it's that hard. So I couldn't like get it. I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand. It just feels so boxy. I still have that on a day-to-day basis where I'm like,
Hmm.
we're doing this?
Really? We're
Shit.
still here?
And then through my processes of like kind of understanding more about my soul and really kind of diving into that as a little kid, I understand more of my soul. I understood what why she came here and like what that whole perspective was. And then like going through the process of like being in the human and like going, okay, but I'm gonna do the human thing for a little while and then having that soul pop back on and me being like, dang
Right,
it.
right. I remember that experience. I was like, oh man, where have I been?
I was just doing the human thing. That's all. You know, you didn't really have to like light that fire under my ass so hard.
Mhm.
Like,
Did you feel like there were moments doing the human thing? Very small moments, but like where you sort of just for a quick minute pop back in.
oh, totally, totally.
I know, and we say that like the soul's always there, but I feel like it's the activation point of
Right.
being consciously connected to that little voice. Like I was saying,
Yep.
you know, mine was
Yep.
obviously there still 15, 16, and I don't think it ever fully left. It was just that I allowed going out and drinking and like GCSEs and A levels and university and like
Yep.
all the things of human life to take over. But it was literally, I was like 17, 18 coming out of uni. I must have been like 19, 20 coming out of uni when I started tarot cards. So
Yep.
it was not, it was literally a couple of years of a bit of a noise and a lot of medication. And then it was straight back there. But I don't feel like it ever left. It was just way turned down.
Totally. Totally. I
Yeah.
feel like for me, I pushed it out. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Or like I did
Yeah.
the whole fitting in thing because when I was little, I was super connected, and then even into my teens, I still had like I was just very sharp. I was just looking at all the beings, and like I really was kind of outside of the group, so to speak, with what I was doing, and so I turned it off for a good period of time. And then in my teens, I had my first near death, and I was right back there, and I was like, okay,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
so. And then it just everything turned on, and I went down the shamanic path.
That makes so much sense. That's so funny. I was packing up earlier and I seen this book, Shamanism, and I was looking at it, I was like, shamanism, because obviously we've got connections to shamanism. I knew that would be a frequency. The shamans were working with us tonight. But yeah, when you were saying that, I was having like wild connections because I don't really think too much about I think about my past a little bit, but I guess I don't really look at the moments and the points. Some of it feels a bit of a blur. A lot of my like child to teenage years and then early adulthood, it feels very just like, you know, blurred in there. I've worked through a lot of layers of the trauma, but yeah, I was questioning myself, like, when did I turn it down? When did it come back on? And I think mine was more of a wave. It felt like I didn't really ever I didn't have to, which was lucky, you know. I did meet Brad quite young, my partner now. And so I were able to always have a place to be question them things. He was always like that. We'd always watch like Zeitgeist and documentaries together at like 15, 16. So we always had like a place of curiosity and questioning without being shamed for that. But it was just, I never publicly owned that till a lot later on in life. But I'm quite grateful really because not many people have that opportunity to keep that connection, even just a little bit in the background, because it can be so easily turned off. Like, and that's why people go, oh, you know, people go through midlife crisis and spiritual awakenings randomly overnight, but it's not the case. It's like your soul's been turned down so much. And that voice, your higher self, your connection, your fire, your vibrational energy of spirit has been turned down so that you could live in a condensed human experience to survive.
Yep.
That when that comes back in, there is no way that that soul can live in that human box. So everything has to break. And that can be relationships, jobs, where they're living, the experience, and it all just has to go because you can't live in that suffocated experience. And it's obviously not a midlife crisis or mental breakdown. It is a expansion. But I guess I understand how on a human level it can be perceived that way. I do see that, you know, especially to people that maybe have chosen never to get that connection too much, like maybe have small of a part of their soul in their body for this lifetime. And so they maybe would look at it like, wow, that person's gone insane because they could never
For sure. Yep.
grasp the concept of doing that because their soul's not in the embodiment that that person's now is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I actually had this conversation yesterday with somebody who
Yeah.
asked me that question. Well, what happens when, they're going through a process and they're trying to go through the medical system and then they put labels on it and things like that. And I come from a really, really like a deep shamanic space where that's kind of like the common for once you get the awakening piece turning on, right? Like you kind of go through a little bit of psychosis. And let's be honest, I will be honest, and I will own my own here as well. We all go through a little bit of this phase, guys. We all have.
Yeah, you have the question like, am I absolutely fucking insane? Am I in a cult? Like, what's going on right
Yep,
now?
it's
I,
straight
don't, I
up.
think if you're not this deep and you aren't questioned that, there's something wrong with you. Because if you get this deep into the world, you've got to question that. Like,
For
it
sure.
is a
Yeah.
deep world. It's a deep
Am
world.
I nuts right now?
Yeah,
And I was very grateful because at a very young age, for one, my father's lineage, they were all shamanic medicine
nice.
people. And so his family came in energetically to support me and like to just taught me a lot about the human interfacing, the other realms interfacing. And then I had a shaman come in who had a vision of me and she's like, I'm here because I saw exactly where you're at and I want to have a chat with you because I know that I was just supposed to be here with you right now. And she taught me a whole lot about the inner workings of the psyche and going into these aspects of consciousness and how like the trigger for at least they call it the shamanic phase, but it's just awakening in general, everybody. um,
Yep, it is.
the dismemberment, all of that aspect of it is a natural facet of it, and just kind of helped me understand that like super super young. So I had a good like base of like, hey, I'm not going crazy. I'm
Yeah,
working through a healing process, an awakening process. And for the most part, at that age, most of my teachers were going to be plants, and they were going to be teachers from other realms. My family, who was shamanic, and then when I got into the shamanic space and started working in with Native Americans, and then all around the world with different shamans, it was just home. Like I just knew it.
yeah,
Didn't
nice.
really have any. I didn't really have anything to like teach. I observed, and then I witnessed, and I let the energy help teach me through those facets. But certainly, definitely had some constructs or mirrors of like being completely psychotic and things like that. And that's when I shifted my out of everything and got more friends that were in the shamanic space and
Yeah.
we're doing some of that
No,
work.
it's,
So yeah.
yeah, you need to do that because you really will lose your grounding of who you are and your sense of self because that will always be expanding and changing. But I like you, have had many different teachers and both astrally and physically, and many different roles for people that they've played for me and some that I played for them. And
Yeah.
really beautiful exchanges, really. Oh, my guides must be coming in every time my guides come in. My bloody nose.
They're
Trust me.
like
Yeah, I'm like, really? You have to do that every time? Um, yeah, they're like, you talking about us? I'm like, you know,
please.
yeah, yeah. And the world of teaching has come exactly like you through physical teachers, through my granddad a lot in spirit, my guides and plant medicine, and and then a lot of people that I have met along the way that have taught me a huge amount, and I'm so grateful for that. And even I've learned in the weirdest environments and the craziest environments where you shouldn't work really, but I've had wonderful expansions, and it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and I mean by that, like I used to work on psychic nights and do like in old pubs and stuff, and the energy was weird because the pubs were old and unprotected, and everybody was drinking alcohol that you was reading, so it was way not what you should be
Sure.
doing. But
Yep.
I learned so much from that because I ended up embodying who I am and my confidence and my voice and my,
Yeah.
and it
Absolutely.
challenged me a lot to stand in my own, and so. Yeah, I can't say I regret any part of my journey. I can't say I changed any one part of it. I'm lucky to have learned in the way I have and through the things I have, and I am really grateful. But I definitely feel like sometimes I know when the time's done there. Like I've learned a lot from people and places, but then it's never even a bad thing like, oh, this is so horrendous. Never like that. It's just sometimes it can feel a bit, I don't know how to be false. I don't know how to show up here and talk about the weather and have small talk. And, if we ain't being real and talking about real stuff, I don't need to always be deep, but I just need to show up
Right.
as my authentic self. If
Yeah.
I'm going to be friends or family or close with people, I need to be able to be my authentic self and to receive you as your authentic self. And me and my best friend were talking about this recently because we've been best friends since we were like literally preschool nursery, so about one,
Nice.
2 years old. And there's been a time, the only time, just before 2020, where she was living a very false life. She will openly admit this. And I said to her, we had a bit of a fallout, and I said, I don't know how to be friends with this version of you because this is not who I'm best friends with. And I genuinely meant that in the least disrespectful, least harmful way, but it was my honest truth. I don't know what to talk to you about. I don't know how to show up for you. And, there is no showing up for me. And like, it was just such a empty gap. And I had to address it. And she took it really well. And we didn't speak for about a year, which was a long time for us. And then everything shifted in her life and she'd come back into her own embodiment and we met back up. And I was just so grateful to have that real version of her back. And it was just like a reconnection like it was yesterday, and we've been reconnected ever since. But I did not know what else to do other than being my own authentic self. I said to her, my door's always open for you. And when you need me, I'm here always. But at this current moment, I just don't know how to be friends with this version of you. And she took it. And from that, I learned that sometimes being in your authentic truth is sometimes painful for you and for them and for whoever else is involved. But in the long run, that was so much better than me being the fake, becoming a fake version to be friends with that fake version that then just played up with families like that. No, I'm sorry, I'm not here, but I don't actually know how to do that. It's not something I'm capable of even doing. It feels inherently wrong in my body and it makes me like, I feel like I'm shrinking. And so I think that's breaking down a lot at the moment. Not years ago, but that we had that conversation. Me and my best friend was talking about that the other day, and it's the concept of fakeness that's coming up right now. And the energies, like you said earlier, like we were talking about on TikTok, like we were talking about in this whole industry, that
Yep.
there is a lot of falseness. There is a lot of lack of authenticity, and lack of showing up as the real self. And I've seen a little mum post, and it was just like a post that you won't ever see, and it were a messy house and an overwhelmed mum and all these things. And I was just like, I actually really needed to see that today because
Yeah.
I see so much of this like Instagram life that even my brain falls susceptible to like, wow, why can't I keep my house clean? Why can't I stay on top of the washing? Why can't I
Sure.
run the business properly? Why can't I do all these things? And I really do struggle with it. And so seeing that bit of realness online reminded me why I show up as my real self online and why I value how we show up because we all need a bit of realness sometimes.
I
Like
would say so.
it's what keeps us grounded.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's the first thing that I said coming on this video. It was like, yeah, I wore the same clothes yesterday. I've just been in the rain.
I love that.
And I'm coming to the table as me, and a lot of times I have to say it is uncomfortable to stay in that route around people sometimes and be entirely yourself. And even for me, I have to stop myself sometimes and be like, hey, how do I want to how am I gonna, especially my nervous system, because my nervous system will be like,
Mm,
this is like,
yeah,
I'm gonna not just like rock the boat here, like that boat's gonna be gone.
literally, literally.
And that's just how it's going to be. And I still go with it. I still, even with my clients and things like that, where like I can feel like just a little bit of the judgment because I'm wearing something that's funky and like I don't
Mm-hmm.
just got out of bed. I'm like, this is who I am. You can take it, you can leave it. I don't really care. I'm here to be with you and present right now, and I'm up and going. But sometimes my body will be like, whoo, like I'm feeling that, and then
Yeah,
I'm gonna own it for a second. I can see like my legs are just a little bit squirmy, and then we're like, no, we got this.
yeah.
We're
No,
gonna
and it is the re-embodiment. It's
totally,
re-embodiment of self. I get that.
yeah, totally,
Mm.
totally. And it takes its time, and then it will continue to take its time because you're gonna shift and grow as you go with it. There's gonna be a new, at least for me, there's so many new aspects of myself and embodiment that I'm like, ooh, yeah, that one is just I just uncovered that one. Let me just step. Wow, that's intense. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do that one
No,
just a
it
little bit slow, you know. But
It's
Yeah.
a little bit less intense. No, it is right. And that comes hugely in a mum world as well, like, because my kids are always feral. And so they can get out of the bath, be clean dressed, and within 30 seconds, they are fucking filthy. And I'm like, yeah, wonderful. So 90% of the time, my kids just look feral, and mainly my son because he's older, but I'm sure a little lady will get there when she's bigger.
Yep.
And it's just like sometimes I feel myself like twitching, when I've got them all ready and nice, and then people see them and I'm there, and then they literally look like scraggles with their hair all over and food all over, and I'm like, oh
Yep.
my god. And obviously, I do keep up to the level, but it's sometimes you can't help being in the moment. When you got a baby in your arms and you're sorting that over there, sometimes that moment is just that's real. And that's how it is. And sometimes I have to sit there and accept that too and be like, you can't show up as this perfect, polished, perfected family in every aspect of life. Like it's just not physically attainable to be. And I was listening to this podcast of this woman. She was like, I don't know what it was, but she was like, here's to the woman who tries to show up as the perfect mum, the perfect wife, working out every day, cooking all the meals, food prepping, doing everything organic and running a business and doing that. And I was like, man, I actually try and do all that. And it's like, I had the reflection. I was like, wow, like I didn't realize how much. And then I give myself shit for not doing it. And I was like, oh, damn, girl, you guys stop that. It was a real reflection of, I ask way too much of myself sometimes. And I need to chill out a little bit with that and have acceptance for sometimes things are in the present moment and things are not polishly clean. And that has related the past few days, because instead of staying up to like 1, 2 a.m., like I was doing a few nights before to clean and to work, I've literally just left it. And it triggers me in other ways because of the other mess. But in the same respect, I just chose rest. I chose rest and spending time outside on the last few days that we're getting sunshine of the summer, because there's not going to be much. And yeah, and I didn't feel any guilt about that. I just kind of, I'm a little bit avoiding the energy in the house, but I'll get to it. It's not like I'm going to leave it, I'm going to have to get to it at some point. But for this moment, I am ignoring it a little bit so that I can be present in other ways and be present with myself, with the children, with my nervous system, with nature, and not be overwhelmed by trying to be constantly perfect.
Yep. Yep, I hear that one. That one's been a big one for me, and I will still like mess up my space and leave it for a few days because I'm like, yeah, no, if I find myself getting into a space where I'm like, I either need to control something or like I have to have this all picked up because of, and then I'm like, oh, look, we're gonna mess this up, and then I'm gonna leave it and I'm gonna go have some fun because clearly that's really what my body's telling me that I need, and it's listening to that and going, hey, like. I might take the next month off just to rest at this point. I've been really, really, really busy. I've been really focused on getting my platform out, and my body's like, I'm a little bit like, can we just be in the mountains like most of the days and come back, do a little bit, maybe do little videos? And I'm like, of course we can, because if I'm not listening to that, then coming through the other side of it, and if I keep pushing or trying to do all these things, like, it's just not going to work in my nervous system. My body actually can't do it anymore. Doesn't want
Yeah, no, I get
it
that.
literally can. It's like, that's a cringe. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm not here to do that anymore. And it's also understanding that my body is learning this with the nervous system, and it's testing itself too, just to see with the nervous system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Like,
testing if you're listening as well.
totally,
Like if you're actually honouring what we're saying we're doing is,
totally. Yep.
reprogramming and reconnecting. But it's like, okay, but are you actually doing that? Are you listening to yourself? And I think that by honouring that, you completely are. Like we're clearly showing up for ourselves. But this is what we're being asked to do.
Yep.
If we are, I mean, we're all being asked to do it. So let's just let me put that out there. We're all being asked to go through this shift in the awakening, which is wonderful. It'll just manifest differently for everyone.
Totally.
But specifically us that do facilitate for others in whatever way that looks like, obviously our next retreat that's come out through, the ideas that were coming through to me were nervous system regulation, reset, retreat. And the two key words that are coming up right now really strong that I'm feeling really connected to are surrendering and serenity. And I feel like that really encompasses the vibration that we are going to be bringing on the next retreat next year in July 2026. How weird does that sound saying that out loud?
Yeah, that does sound
Mind blowing. I feel like I'm time traveling. What the hell? But yeah, sorry, going back. Um, yeah, the serenity and surrendering, I feel like it does encompass what we're trying to bring, because the nervous system needs rest.
Totally.
It also needs reprogramming and regulating, you know? And so we're going to be bringing the tools and the learnings and the skills, the workshops and expansions, and also physical tools on how to do that, like movement and dance classes and working with the body and things like that, music classes. And we'll be doing some workshops, obviously, Anya and Z, doing some activations and energy work. But a huge part of it as well is the resting part. And that's why I think it has to be in Spain, in a beautiful place where we're going to have relaxation and music and calm and connection and community. Obviously, we've done this before in 2023 for those that joined us. Everyone that came then will say how beautiful of like a community connected, like little family we became in that space. And that's really the energy I'm bringing forward for us on this next one. It's like that community and that village and that space where you can, if you are like me, where you struggle to let down your nervous system and to go into rest mode because your daily life requires you to be in quite a hyper aware state, then this is the place where you're going to be able to spend the time to actually go within and yes, do the work, but also just to be, you know, so it's going to be a yin and a yang.
Yep. Just to be present, to experience. And that's another thing too. Just experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Be in connection with others who are doing it with you and us too. I'll just say like we'll be walking alongside with you, doing it with you. Um,
100%.
yep. That's what makes me so excited. I was like, I want to walk alongside you guys and work with you because I
Yeah.
want to be in that equal partnership with everybody, and it's going to be really beautiful. I'm really excited to really give the nervous system that presence that I feel like it has been, bypassed for such a long time.
Oh, it's been asking for it, like you say. And I
Yep.
think a lot of this preparation work is vital to be able to encompass it into teachings and learnings to share with other people. It's like we have to embody it. And that's again why we always keep it real with you guys, why we always stay in our authentic expression, because how can we ask you to show up in that way if we're not doing that?
Yep.
And so, this is going to be 5 days of, I do like you guys to do the work. So you will be doing the work. Let me just say, it's not going to be everything done for you and all things tailored, energetically for you. This will be you going into your own shit and dealing with it yourself. But we will hold the space and give you the skills and the tools and the knowledge to be able to do that with far more ease than it would be just doing it on your own. So, and other people will be there doing it with you as well. And we'll be going through our own expansions massively.
Totally.
And
This
there
is
will be a
everybody's
lot.
embodiment.
Yeah,
Yep.
sorry. You're right. Everyone's embodiment.
Yep.
It's not, we don't just facilitate for you. We learn and we expand so much from from being a part of it, from being connected with
Totally.
everyone.
Totally. What we're saying is we're gonna get uncomfortable with you.
No, truly, truly.
Gonna be a thing.
I'm planning some of these things and I'm like, oh, that makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm like,
Like,
oh, geez, I'm going to have to sit there as well and work with that. So I'm not just doing this because I feel like I've got this great, a lot of the things I do have a great experience on, but some of it I'm going to be there going through with you guys.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And that's like why I did the nervous system reset for that aspect that I did is because I went through it myself and I'm still going through it. And I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
gonna put anything out there that I wasn't embodying and I haven't like tried, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like fumbling along the way because I certainly did.
No,
Face
exactly.
down.
Where can everybody find that, Z? Where can they find your offerings?
It'll be a link underneath this video. It's at
On your website. Yeah.
quantumgamechangers.com is just my website that just came out. So, and I do have a full system reset. It does have to do with wealth, but really what it has to do with is worthiness. And
Yeah.
our nervous systems are tied to that piece.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's all a part of the worthy piece that we were talking about. I haven't checked it out yet. Oh, you sent me the other day. I'm going to have a look tonight. I'm excited. I wanted to have some real time to sit there with it and have a look through because when someone puts time to put into a new project, I think it's important to actually sit with the frequency and the energies of what's being forward there. All mine are in the works, not finished yet, but it's the energy and the time. Like when I run a retreat, I've now worked a lot with some of my close family and friends in planning that.
Yep.
And they're now seeing what actually goes into planning it. Like way before I've found the venue, way before I've booked the things, like this, that's like the ending things,
Yep.
like
Yep.
I have to focus on the frequency and the tone and the people it's going to be received by and what they need and how we're going to encompass that and what facilitators are right and what time of year and what energies in the fucking stars are aligning with the vibes, you know, and it's like everything is so nuanced to be able to create something
Yep.
that facilitates in the best way possible. And yeah, I'm really honored to be working with another one with you, Z. It was really great to be doing it last time. And I feel, you know, we had a lot of Yorkshire heritage and a lot of beautiful, like cozy winter surrendering energy, which this is going to be the complete opposite. It's going to be the, you know, full bloom of summer. And we're going to have a lot of beautiful balance of energies. But yeah, you can get more information and things if you want to send an email to sssevents@gmail.com.
And
And
we'll
you
have
can
that
get
on this
any.
video too. Yeah. We'll have all the links below. And just suggest you guys really just explore yourself, explore your own nervous system. This has definitely come up for both of us, and it wasn't that we were like talking so much about it right at first. It just we came in together to work and we were like, the nervous system is the thing.
Yeah, no,
And we both found
100%.
that. And
Yeah, resetting it. The reset of the nervous system is
yeah.
so important.
Yep, yep. And so I'm really excited to have this shift into that aspect and have it be about the nervous system, but be an overall embodiment and encompassing and surrender. And I'm excited to work with you guys and be a part of this with you guys and give you guys the space and time to let you know that you can do this too. You can do
Yeah,
you can do the things.
100%. And another big aspect of it, just before I forget, because when you said that, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I missed out a big bit. The sacral chakra is obviously such a big part of this embodiment because of the nervous system being so dysregulated, it's been hard to find the safety with that. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
definitely see that being a huge part of the integration of the work. And there'll be also extra facilitators that will be there. They'll be
Yep.
doing a lot of activations with the sacral chakra and a lot of integrations with embodiment and releasing shame and guilt as well. So that will be a huge part of it. And it is open to both men and women
Yes.
and mixed energies. We've got already a bit of mixed energy. I think there's 3 or 4 people that are already registered for interest. So, and there is a man as well in that group. So it's not women only. He's lovely as well. He's lovely, the beautiful soul is our Bill. I bet he's watching. So sending you big love, Bill. And yeah, it's going to be wonderful. It really is a community of like-minded people. I know we spoke about it a bit today, but I think that's because the energies are coming in now to actually make it into the earth. You know, we've been doing the prep work, we've been doing the energy work, but now I'm getting that call in to kind of like make this human. And the thing I asked for differently with my team is in the astral was they always bring me the idea like 3 or 4 months before, and I'm like, guys, like,
Yeah.
can we not do that? Like, I've got 2 babies and 7 animals, and I can't go up with that. Like, can we just do it like more in advance? So this year I've been given it a year in advance. And so I think it's going to be more than enough time for everything to work out in alignment. And so, yeah,
Sure.
that's it really. Any questions? You know where I'm at.
Yeah, and likewise, we love you guys so much. And I just wanted to bring into awareness something that we talked about earlier is if you're going through these phases where you're waking up to all this, all the realms, you're feeling a little bit crazy, I want you all to know that you're not alone and it's okay to find the right people in the spaces to help support you and that you're not going crazy. And even though I do like, know that there are really big medical conditions and mental conditions, I also know that these processes can be very intense. And so I just wanted to say that as a channel that came through to all of you that you're not alone in it, and just to be seen and heard, and that there is groups and people that you can go to where you can feel accepted. And I'm very grateful for the groups that I had allow me to be where I'm at. So
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. What a beautiful way of putting it as well. But yeah, today's video, we went a bit everywhere, but we brought it back. And I think really one of the most grounding things is authenticity and staying in yourself and finding a way to navigate through these chapters by being in your authentic energy.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Be your weird, crazy ass self. All day, messy, emotional.
Yeah, if you come join us at the retreat, don't be expecting very polite Buddha-like people. We are a bit of the weird and wonderful world. I mean, we'll bring you the wonderfulest expansions, but we have a lot of wonderfulness to bring.
Exactly, guys. All right. Well, we love you so much, and thank you so much, Anya.
No, thank you, Z. Always lots of love.